Oh boy, we got some juicy stuff to talk about today. So, Vox.com leaked a bunch of text messages that were sent between Sam and a friend. The friend ended up submitting them to Vox.com. So, that is what we are going to be talking about today. And there is quite a bit of information in these text messages. A lot of stuff that we've been asking the question and haven't been getting a straight answer from Sam. Well, Sam gave that straight answer to the friend here. Real quick, before we dive in, I did just put out a video taking a virtual tour of Sam Bankman-Fried's penthouse suite, which is for sale right now for $40 million in the Bahamas. So if you guys want to check that video out, hit the link. That's a good one as well. So now there's a ton here. So if you guys want to read through all of them, I'll link the article down below. You can click that link, read through all of them. What I'm going to go through is the ones that I felt like were the juiciest, or the ones that gave us the answers to some questions that we had in the past. Now, this is my second time uploading this video, guys, so I apologize if you got through the first one and are wondering where the video went or why I re-uploaded. It's because my webpage didn't load the full article, so I didn't see all the text messages. So we get to redo it. So that's what I am doing now. And again, we're going to sift through these, and I'm going to talk about the ones that really stood out to me. So this first thread of text messages that we've got here is really just Sam talking crap about regulators. So it's not that interesting. All he's saying is that the regulators can't regulate crypto. They're not even doing a good job in regular finance. And it's not even just the financial regulators. It's stuff like the FDA. So that's essentially what this first text thread is about. And at the end, this is where it starts to get juicy in my eyes. So the friend is in blue here, and Sam is the white bubbles. So the friend says, I'm sort of putting together a picture where you don't believe anyone is doing anything good or anything for good reasons. You don't believe that the good guys are good, so why not make it big and then be the one who gets to decide what good is? And if you have to do sketchy stuff along the way, everyone else is doing it too, and plenty of them are worse, and people still like them as long as they win. Is that fair? So this is where their assessment of what Sam has been saying prior to this is that, like, he's gathering together. Is this what you meant, Sam? Is this how you feel? Sam says, what we're left with at the end of the day is only the rich can invest. I think he meant invest. Only they can make or lose money. There's some truth to it, but it's also true that I didn't want to do sketchy stuff. There are huge negative effects from it, and I didn't mean to. Each individual decision seemed fine, and I didn't realize how big their sum was until the end. So he's saying, yeah, I did some bad stuff here and there, some sketchy stuff, but it all seemed right in the moment, and everything seemed fine, but then it all piled up at the same time, and it all blew up in my face. So that's essentially what Sam is saying there. All right, and then in this next thread, he kind of gets into CZ a little bit. He starts talking about a month ago CZ was a walking example of don't do unethical shit or your money is worthless. Now he's a hero. Is it because he's virtuous, or is it because he had a bigger balance sheet and so he won? So again, touching on this whole CZ situation. But the best part of this is honestly the ending, where the friend asks, you were really good at talking about ethics for someone who kind of saw it as a game of winners and losers. And Sam said, yeah, I had to be. It's what reputations are made of to some extent. I feel bad for those who got fucked by it, by this dumb game we woke Westerners play where we say all the right shibboleths and so everyone likes us. First of all, the word shibboleth? I've never heard the word shibboleth used in a sentence, but now I have. I guess I'm learning something new every day. So basically saying that he's playing this dumb game and some people got caught in the crosshairs. Feels bad for him, but it's part of the game. Buck up, bucko. God, dude, it just comes off as so distasteful, and I don't know that he means it that way. I just don't think he's a very effective communicator, and it just sounds like so bad. The next one, and this is one that answers questions, okay, that a lot of us have had. So the friend asks, so FTX technically wasn't gambling with their money. FTX had just loaned their money to Alameda, who had gambled their money and lost it. And you didn't realize it was a big deal because you didn't realize how much money it was. Sam does not deny any of it and just adds on, and also thought Alameda had enough collateral to reasonably cover it. So he does not deny gambling of customer funds and everything else and sending it to Alameda and all the stuff that we have been accusing him of and thinking happened. that he hasn't been giving us a straight answer to and has been tweeting these silly, goofy threads on Twitter with no substance. He basically admits it here. Like, yeah, that's what happened, but we thought they had more collateral. At the end of the day, that's his excuse. They thought they had more collateral. The friend then says, I got how you could have gotten away with it, but I guess it seems sketchy even if you get away with it. And Sam says it was never the intention. Sometimes life creeps up on you. It still just rubs me the wrong way that he doesn't deny one piece. It literally confirms what we have been thinking about FTX sending money to Alameda to go gamble with of customer funds and then just sending it back to the exchange as people withdraw, hoping that if there's never a bank run, they'll never know, and apparently Luna and everything else put them under. That's what this next thread talks about. So the friend asked, was Alameda thing when Luna crashed the first time customer deposits got lent out? That's what people are saying. Or was it more like the accountant was such that a lot of the stuff you were doing was implicitly backed by customer deposits? Sam says messy accounting plus margin exchange. Positions built up over time, though in the retrospect, Luna Crash was a lot of what did it, when a lot of it did, but messy accounting, I didn't realize full size until a few weeks ago. So again, he keeps falling back on this accounting thing. I guess he really didn't know what was going on with the financials. I just don't understand it. They had like a financial mess is basically what this sounds like just a total mess. It just intertwined all the customer funds with the company funds and mislabeling of bank accounts and all this other bull crap, and they just weren't tracking it. They just had no idea. And so I can't even trust the numbers that Sam puts out on Twitter now because he's been putting out what he thought their leverage or what their leverage ended up being and all this other stuff. But if you can't keep track of your money, how the heck are you, like, what? Crazy. This is like a bunch of tech guys who don't know a bunch of finance stuff that are getting themselves caught up. I just can't believe they didn't have the staff. Like, I don't know if they didn't have the staff or their staff wasn't competent, or if Sam was like, and all these guys were basically throwing all this money around, and so it was impossible for the financial people to track because they weren't keeping tabs on where money was being sent. To me, that sounds like the most logical explanation, but yeah, just ridiculous that you would be running a company like that sloppily. It's crazy. So the friend then asks, if you could do it all over again, would you take more care, or would you just take more careful accounting, never touch customer funds, never go into crypto? Sam says more careful accounting, off-board Alameda from FTX once FTX could live on its own. So he would touch customer funds again, though. He doesn't deny that. He doesn't ever say that he wouldn't touch customer funds again. This makes you want to like freaking punch a monitor, man. Like it's crazy. Like the complete ignorance of the whole situation. Like he's pretending like it's no biggie. And he's literally destroyed people's life savings and everything else. And these athletes, like their whole reputations, they're getting sued now. FTX is getting sued now. All the people that had jobs because of FTX, like all of that is gone. And all the employees that they had have basically worked the last few years for like basically nothing because all their money was on FTX. And he's just like, yeah, better accounting next time, I guess. Just crazy to me. The friend then asks, are the people who told you to be more careful, are there people you would have listened to? Sam says it's odd. I mean, maybe, but not really. And those who did, they did other things, not that. It's odd. Everyone was so worried and concerned about dumb shit we definitely wouldn't do, and that made no sense. Everyone was so worried and concerned about dumb shit that we definitely wouldn't. He's repeating it there. The friend then asks, but not about whether you were lending out customer funds. Seems like such an obvious thing for them to be worried about. Sam says, yeah, but it was complicated. It wasn't quite lending them out. It was messier and more organic than that. Each step was in isolation, rational and reasonable. And then when I finally added it up all last week, it wasn't. B, most exchanges did some variant on what we did, just not as big and without the run on the bank, at least recently and more intentionally. C, everyone wants to be clever, and the clever thing to do is some complicated 3D chess involving customer orders or data or something like that, which makes no actual sense. So then the friend says, so there was no point of like, let's lend customer deposits, just various financial instruments that ended up adding up that you didn't even see they'd added up to that, Sam says, yeah. Like, oh, FTX doesn't have a bank account. I guess people can wire to Almeida's to get money on FTX 3 years later. Oh, fuck, it looks like people wired $8 billion to Alameda, and oh, God, we basically forgot about the stub account that corresponded to that, so it was never delivered to FTX. Like, this is, like, coming from the financial world, this is an absolute nightmare. Like, how did you forget the structuring of the... So basically, the deposits were hitting Almeida's account every time. Like, you were depositing money into FTX, guess what? It was hitting Almeida's account, showing up on your FTX thing, and they weren't even getting the money. FTX, technically, that's, like, what I'm gathering from this. It's like, it was all going through Alameda, and you forgot about that? Like, what in the world were you guys doing? Like, how? How? And you're an exchange of this size. Like, how did that even happen? So it sounds like, and this honestly, I know that we had our other thoughts on what happened here, but this sounds logical. Like, basically, the financials were so freaking messy. They basically just had a bunch of IT guys and coders, like, coding stuff, which the coding's fine, you know, like, the coding side's good, but they have no idea how to manage money. Zero. That's what this comes down to. This is what I'm gathering, is the competence on the money management side was literally a big fat zero from day one, and we just had no idea, and we're never going to have an idea unless there was a bank run like we saw. Until there's a bank run and everyone cashes in, we were never going to see that this was how FTX and Alameda were running their books, and it's just crazy to me. Just crazy to me. So this makes sense as to why they didn't cut Alameda loose, because Alameda had all their money. Now, technically, FTX owns Alameda, so they probably could have cashed it out in a way, but then Alameda probably was already taking that money and investing it, right? So they probably had it all locked up in crap that FTX couldn't get it out of, and so the whole thing went belly up because customers depositing funds in that, and they're hitting Almeida's books. Almeida's investing that money, and FTX isn't seeing that money, and then now all of a sudden FTX needs that money, but guess what? It's all invested into liquid shit tokens, which is exactly what people have been talking about on Twitter. And now FTX is belly up because they couldn't manage their freaking bank accounts. Like, that is just embarrassing. That's like the most ridiculous thing that I have ever heard of any business ever. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know what the legal sides of it are, but it, like, you're just breaking every rule in the book. You're just, like, totally just running through it all. You're not even paying attention to your, like, I can't imagine what your accountant was going through trying to sort the numbers out. Like, how the heck did that happen? It doesn't even sound like there was, like, I don't mean to call them stupid, but I mean, it doesn't sound like they were smart enough to even really put in a backdoor. I know they were talking about backdoors before, and I posted a video talking about how they put in a backdoor. It sounds like there was no backdoor. There was just them shuffling a bunch of money around, and it was so confusing that nobody knew what was even going on. Not even the people of the exchange. And that's why Sam is saying they were leveraged, and he didn't even realize they were leveraged. So it's just crazy. The next thread here is just talking about how bad he effed up, is what he keeps saying. And he's talking about how he shouldn't have filed Chapter 11, that if he didn't file Chapter 11 bankruptcy, that he'd probably be able to salvage some money for customers and raise some money, and that he's still going to try to do that or whatever. But, oh my gosh, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So then the friend asks, this is where it gets interesting again. The friend asks, like, should just wrote it out and kept trying to make $8 billion back? This is when Sam's talking about how he shouldn't have filed Chapter 11. Sam says, if I hadn't done that, meaning if I hadn't filed for bankruptcy, withdrawals would be opening up in a month with customers fully whole. But instead I filed, and the people in charge of it are trying to burn it all to the ground out of shame. I might still get there, but after way more collateral damage and only a 50-50 chance. And then the friend says, I'd take the under on that. Sam says, basically, we get there if both, either Gary or Nishad come back. B, we win jurisdiction battle versus Delaware. And then Sam says, or the friend says Gary and Nishad are gone. Sam says, yeah, scared. Or Gary is scared. Nishad is ashamed and guilty. So I'm not sure who those two are. I'm guessing team members of FTX. Then the next juicy question that we get an answer to from Sam, again, this is amazing. We're actually getting straight answers from Sam, or at least it feels that way, unless this whole stinking thing is staged, which that's a possibility too. I'm always skeptical of stuff like this, like leaked text messages. Are they leaked, or are they, hey Sam, let's have a back and forth, and then I'll leak them? You never know, but to me, this does feel like more genuine answers than the bullcrap threads that we've been getting on Twitter. So the friend says, do you know what's actually up with the money that got mysteriously moved out of FTX after bankruptcy? That's the other thing that a lot of people are speculating about. Sam says, hack, either ex-employee or malware that an ex-employee's computer, a few $100 million. Then the friend asks, what's next? What's your plan? And Sam says, I have 2 weeks to raise $8 billion. That's basically all that matters for the rest of my life. The friend says, well, I hope that the depositors get their money back, but I got to say, I have no idea how anyone could possibly pull that off from this starting point. Sam says, well, a month ago, I was one of the world's greatest fundraisers. Now I'm the fallen wreckage of one. But there's one thing about being fallen. There are people who know what that's like and who want to do something for someone else that nobody did for them. So that is the bulk of the text messages, guys, which are just insane to see. Again, I'll leave it up to you guys to determine whether you feel like these are legitimately leaked messages or if you feel like they're sort of staged. I could see both. Despite either way, I feel like Sam is sort of giving straight answers. He seems like more natural in his responses here than as opposed to what he's been putting out on Twitter. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm taking it all 100% for face value, but a lot of it is starting to make sense now. Like he's like, it was just so disorganized and the money was set up so improperly, the bank account so mismanaged, that everything was so intertwined that they were using customer funds. They knew somewhat that they were using customer funds. They didn't know to the extent because they couldn't even track it. It was so messy the way that Alameda and FTX were intertwined, and they just mismanaged it so bad that the whole thing blew up without them even knowing it was coming crashing down. That's what's so crazy about this. And then they're just piling in more investments, all this other stuff, customer funds, deposits, all on top of each other over time, mixing it in the same cauldron over and over again. And again, that's like the whole thing blew up, which is just insane to me. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that this answers a lot of questions for you guys. It answered a lot for me. Again, I still remain a skeptic. I'm not taking it all 100% for face value, but again, it does somewhat seem logical here as to how this whole thing played out. I will still be keeping an eye, though. The hacked funds, I want to know who did that. I'm not going to just take Sam's word here, because how do we know it wasn't Sam just trying to get some money out? You know, I don't know. I don't know that it was. I'm just saying that I always remain a skeptic until we know the facts of the situation. So, guys, first time to your channel. If this is your first time to the channel, please like and subscribe. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.